Hello, welcome back to this section. Here we are going to implement our own version of the Object.assign static method so as to learn how the composition of properties in object works. So first thing, we are going to monkey patch the Object.assign method so that our own custom function is going to be called instead of the built-in function in the Object.assign method. So to monkey patch it, we do something like this: Object.assign, then an assignment operator, then followed by function like this. So our monkey patch works. This is how to monkey patch any built-in function or variable in JavaScript. Now let's add the arguments. We know first thing we are passing in the target object and then followed by the sources. Now what we did here is just to push all the source objects into this sources array. Now first thing we'll check the length of the sources. If it is 0, that means nothing was passed. We just return the target without any work because there is nothing to compose. Now, after this if condition, we know that yes, we have something in the sources variable or array. So first we loop through it using the for of statement. We store each object in this next source variable. Then first thing, we're going to get the keys or the names of the properties using this object dot get prototype names. Then we'll pass it inside the object. So what this line 8 does is just to get the property names from this object next source. Now this get own property names gets only the properties built into this object. Any properties in its prototype is not returned at all. It is skipped. So that's the function of this get own property names. So we did this because that is what the Object.assign does. So now we have the keys. We look through the keys using the for of. Then each key we store it inside that key variable. Now another thing we need to do is now get the descriptor of this. So we write it const key descriptor, then write get it via object dot get property own property descriptor. Then we'll pass the object next source, then followed by the key. So here we will have the descriptor of the property here. So it will return us whether it's enumerable, the value, whether it is writable or not. So that's what we have here. Now let's do the actual monkey patch. But before then, we need to check if this key descriptor something is there. We need to make sure it is not undefined. Then and also we need to make sure that it is enumerable. Remember that Object.assign method only copies or mixes in properties that are enumerable. So that's why we have this check on line 12 here. So now we do the actual mixing. First, we do the assignment using this key, because remember this key is a property name. So we create it inside the target object and assign it to the value of it from this next source. So that's it. This line 13 does the actual mixing. Then finally, remember, we return the target object. So this is our own implementation of the Object.assign method. I hope we understood how it works. First, let's take it again. We monkey patch it. Now we'll pass the arguments. This is the target object that we need to compose all the properties inside it. Then this is the sources variable. It contains all the source objects in an array. That's why we use this rest, so as to compose everything inside the after this target object, inside this sources variable. So now this sources variable is now an array. First thing, we need to check if something was passed, like a source object, one or more is passed. If nothing is passed, we return the target because there's nothing to mix in. Then next, we look through the sources. Now we know that in each source It's an object. So we have an object here. Here we get the keys. Now the keys is just the property names from the object. We just get it, and we use this so as to get only those built in inside the object, not the ones in its prototype object. So we get them and look through the keys, then get the key descriptor of that property. Then we make sure that the key descriptor is not undefined and it's enumerable. So we now do the actual mixin here and return the target. So that's what happens. So after this line, here, whenever we call object.assign, JavaScript will use our own custom function instead of its built-in function. Now, to be sure that this is called not the JavaScript's built-in function, so we just write something like hello. So this is just to test that yes, actually this our custom function is called and it was successfully monkey patched into the object.assign method. So now here we have our empty object, and object is want to mix their properties into it. Now we now call it object.assign. We hope this object.assign call will call our custom function and mix all the properties here into the object. Now you see here in this case, looking at this default our custom function. Now this target becomes the user, and the surname and the rest, first name, age, and city will now be inside these sources. They will now be composed inside an array. So that's why we did this triple dots. It's a rest to collect all other arguments passed to this function into an array. So after this, we now hope that after the mixin in this line 29, sorry, we will now have surname properties, first name properties, age, and city inside the user object. Now let's test the code. To run it, we'll do node test. Yeah, you see very well our object.assign monkey patch function was called, so we are happy. That's why we logged this hello. Then after that, you see we are able to get user surname property from the user object. So you see the reason we got all the values here. So no one of them returned undefined. So this shows that we successfully mixed in all these properties, all the properties inside this object into the user object.